Hi, I'm Sophie, and welcome to my world. Well, you know, last time you saw me, we made a bathing suit for Riley. Now it's time to make a visor. We want to make sure that she doesn't get any glare from that sun. I'm going to show you how to make it right now. Okay, so before I begin here, I do want to let you know that this is an advanced duct tape craft. I know, it sounds silly, it's a little visor, but it is a very advanced duct tape craft. I just want to give you that heads up right away. It's a little tricky. Okay, for this project, you're going to need duct tape, and in this case, I'm matching my chevron to my cute little bathing suit and my base color of my bathing suit. I'm going to need a dry erase marker, and I'm also going to need a Sharpie marker. I'm going to need one that will make a indelible mark. I need a piece of parchment paper. I need an X-Acto knife, and I'm going to need the cutting board surface. I'm going to need some sticky back Velcro, not too much, but just a little bit of sticky back Velcro. I'm going to need my template for my visor brim, and this can be found with the swimsuit, and it's all on one PDF on Sophie-World.com. You're going to need a ruler. You are going to want a 14 to 16 inch fold over strip. And I'm hoping by this time you know what a fold over strip is. I will quickly show you just in case. But you take your fabric, you take your tape, you fold it up a third, and flip it over, and fold it up another third so that it seals itself and makes a strap. You want 14 to 16 inches. I would suggest 16 just so that you have extra to play with. Then you're going to want another one of those strips, but this is going to be 5.5 inches long. And then you're going to need a little piece of duct tape fabric that is as big as your visor. And believe it or not, this was actually a leftover piece from my bathing suit, and so I just kept this, and that's why it has that little strange thing there. But it has to be about 2 inches, 2.5, 3 inches by 4 inches is what your piece of fabric needs to be. Now, for this project, you are going to need tiny, itty, bitty, bitty strips. And so what you're going to do is take your tape, and this is really super important that you have these done ahead of time. What you're going to do is lay your tape down, and with your ruler, first thing you're going to do is cut these in half, long ways, and then you're going to cut these into tiny little 2 square strips. This is really important, and you're going to need a bunch of these. So you want to make a bunch of these. I've already made a bunch of my own. So you want to make about 20 of these. These are really important. With the leftover tape here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to split this in half yet again. And you're going to want those as well. These are really important. So you're going to need about 4 of those strips. So you're going to need about 20 of the little tabs, and then you're going to want 4 of these strips. And these strips need to be about 6 inches long. All right. What I'm going to do next is take my visor pattern and cut it out. So this is my brim, and I'm just going to cut it out here. I'm going to lay it onto my fabric, and I'm going to trace it. I'm going to use the dry erase marker so it doesn't leave any marks behind. Now, whatever you do, don't get rid of your template. You're going to need it for later. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm going to cut this out. And cut it along this line. And basically I have like a little moon shape here. And just get rid of that dry erase marker. Okay, now what I'm going to do is take this 5-inch piece here, the 5.5-inch piece, and I'm going to actually lay it on top of my duct tape here. I'm going to take one of these tiny little pieces of tape that I was telling you about earlier, and I'm going to lay a piece of it so that it sticks to my duct tape roll. And I'm going to do this on the other side. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this as my template. You can use your doll's head, but unfortunately she rolls around and stuff and it makes it a little tricky. So what I'm going to do here, what I'm basically going to end up doing is attaching this brim to this strip. And this is where it gets really, really tricky. So center your brim, and you're going to need these little tiny strips of tape. First thing is want to center it. Just lay that. See how I've got the brim there? That's the strip. I lay the brim right there in the middle, and I'm just going to take a little piece of tape and I'm going to adhere it right there. Okay, I'm going to keep doing this while I gently follow the pattern. See that? I'm always making sure that it's just right underneath here. See that? It's right underneath. I'm not over top of it. I'm not overlapping it. I'm right there, right on that edge. See that? This is what I mean about it being a little tricky, because you kind of have to follow it. Now this one I'm going to come from the side a little bit like this. Okay, see that on the edge there? I don't want to get it too overlapped there. Come at the side, and then I got that tiny little itty bitty bit there, that little itty bitty bit. Just going to use a tiny little piece of tape right there at that corner to get that stuck right on there. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to repeat this on the other side. Again, you're lining this up with that edge. It really helps to have this in place here. The doll head, I mean, it's great, but like I said, you know, you got the hair. This you can at least line it up and see what you're doing. Okay, I'm almost to the edge here. There's that little last bit. There we go. Now I can lift this off and fold that under there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is remember these strips that I made, these longer strips? I'm going to come back with one of those and put that across the top here to seal all those in. Now, remember when I said don't get rid of your pattern? Well, this is why. I'm going to take my pattern and I'm going to take my piece of parchment paper here. Take my duct tape, and when I lay down a piece, I want to make sure that it's big enough for my brim. That's just going to fit. Okay, so now I'll lay this on here. I'm going to use my Sharpie. And what we're doing with this piece is going to just be the sealer. Okay, so don't get too worried if it's not all exactly on there. You'll see what I mean about it being the sealer in just a second. So I'm going to cut this along here. Cut this along here. Okay, so check this out. See how the brim of my hat has all these little pieces here? I want to cover those up. Now, I'm going to make this a little teeny bit smaller, just so it doesn't go all the way to the edge. What I'm really concerned about is sealing this part. So I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to lay it right over top there. And that's going to seal off those pieces. See that? Now they're not Now they're not front and center like they were before. Now, as I'm doing this, I realized that this little piece didn't quite catch. And so what I want to do is going to bring another little piece over here, tiny little piece. At least I caught this before I removed it. So there we go, solid like that. Okay, now I'm going to take this and undo it. All righty. Take that piece and undo it. Now, if you look right here, you're going to see, got a little extra here, snip that off. You're going to see that there is an exposed edge here. That's what these little pieces of tape are for. Just put that right along that edge, like that, and seal it off. Okay. All right, we're very close. So there is the duckbill part of your visor. Now all we have to do is make this piece so that it'll go around your head. So we need a long strap for that. And so all I'm going to do is take a little piece of tape here and do the half on, half off. See that? Sticky side. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. Let me get rid of this so you can see. Once again, half on, half off. All right. Lay this on here. And just secure it by folding over that edge. And secure it by folding down that edge. There we go. Okay, now we're getting very close to being done. If you have a little extra here, you can just give this a little snip, just to even it out a little bit, so it looks like it's all one piece. Now, I'm going to use a little bit of embellishment before we go any further. So I've got a thin strip. This is what I used for the bathing suits. And I'm just going to run that, so put it that way so you can see. Run that right through the middle to make that pretty. Let's try that one more time. So what I'm going to do is take this strip and go right through the middle and along the back side there, and right through the middle and along the back side there. Okay. Now I think it'd be pretty just to add like a little bow, just to pick up that color. So to do a bow, a quick and easy bow, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little bit of this chevron tape here. Don't need too much. I'm just going to take about a 3-inch piece here, and I'm going to fold it over onto itself, trim the end. Now I'm going to get myself ready with a couple of these little pieces of tape. I want to have a nice skinny piece of tape ready to go. Okay, so I've got my blue piece here, and I got my chevron here. Just got that. Okay, what I'm going to do is do a fan fold. So very tiny fan fold. Fan fold up, fan fold down, fan fold up, fan fold down, fan fold up, fan fold down. And that makes me a tiny little bow. Now what I'm going to do is take this little bit of chevron here and wrap it around like that. And then I'm going to take it and just attach it right here. And now to give it a little bit of a punch so that it doesn't fade into itself, I'm going to take a tiny little piece of this blue tape. Just lay it right on the bottom there. Go up and over, and look, it hides that little bit of chevron there. And then it goes back to the back side. There we go. And now it's nicely attached. Last thing, we have to put this on our doll's head and attach the Velcro. Now we know one of these sides is going to be the Velcro side, so let's get the Velcro ready and prepped and set to go. So I've got my Velcro. I'm going to place it right at the edge, like that, and the second piece is ready and set to go. Now I'm going to get my dolly. Come here, Riley. Now, the way I've got Riley situated here, she is actually going to have this go underneath her ponies. So that, there we go. You can do it on top. You can do it however you want, but I just found that it seemed to work really well because she has these big piggy tails, that it worked best there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is make sure that that is where I want it to be. It's nice and tight on her head before I peel this backing off and stick that on. And then I can cut off the extra. And Miss Riley has a visor. There she is. And there you have it. Riley is both fashionable and protected on the beach. For more fabulous ideas and protective eyewear for your dollies, come and check us out at Sophie-World.com. You ready for some lemonade?
Absolutely.